Get ready to witness the dark side of retail. From bizarre incidents to chilling crimes, store cameras have captured it all. Join us on a journey into the unsettling world of retail as we reveal the 35 most disturbing footage caught on store cameras. Let's dive. What seemed like a regular customer entry into a jewelry store soon escalates into a heart-pumping, high-stakes heist that will leave you guessing until the very end. Two guys walk into this jewelry store, but something definitely smells dodgy. They look like they're about to make a purchase, but their body language says otherwise. They kept looking back at the entrance exit of the store, indicating their bad intentions. They eventually pull out their guns. One guy tries to jump over the counter, but he falls. After that, he runs off, and the other joins him. Imagine sailing into treacherous waters without a life jacket, only to grab one from a nearby boat. Isn't that sick?
Fast and frantic. 4 hooded and masked suspects raid SK Arms in Flower Mound.
Well, that's the case of 4 suspects who broke into a white gun company to steal firearms.
One of them tips a display case, then stomps on the glass until it shatters. The smash and grab lasts less than 30 seconds, but the suspects take off with 15 firearms.
Getting these firearms.
One of them is seen tipping a display case and then stomping on the glass repeatedly until it shatters. The smash and grab lasted only for 30 seconds, but these men managed to leave with 15 firearms.
3 robberies, 7 days, 42 illegal firearms out on the streets. But investigators have one clue that could put the suspects behind bars.
Days later, another set of suspects broke in, smashed cases, and took a total of 18 firearms. It was a total of 3 robberies in 7 days, with 42 illegal firearms out on the streets. You wake up to go to the store, either as a salesman or a buyer, and by the end of the day, you're left with a memory that'll leave you speechless, in a bad way. A customer walks into a store followed by Michael Brown. It seems like a normal, cool store day where customers come to buy and salespeople come to sell. But what happens next proves otherwise. Michael is seen at the counter, probably making a purchase or making threats. He steals a $48.99 box of cigars. He is about to leave when the salesman follows him, trying to stop him from leaving, but he manhandles him and leaves with the cigarette. Imagine stealing a car while the owner of the car is standing by, watching you. In cases where there is a CCTV camera, isn't that almost the case? A man breaks into a gun shop through an air duct, and once he gets in, he lets in 3 more of his accomplices. They get straight to business, stealing enough firearms. They're seen moving restlessly through the store, stealing what they came for. They rush out and back in again. One of them is seen carrying so many firearms that he couldn't even stand up straight. Shortly after, they immediately rush back out like they've just seen a ghost. You never know the day tragedy will strike. You never know the day you shouldn't stay out. This day was one of such days for certain people in Ramaphosa. A saleswoman is seen in the Stallion Butchery, Ramaphosa, attending to customers. A man in a red shirt walks in, looking around suspiciously. The saleswoman responds to a woman and her son who made purchases, but this man is still seen around. Suddenly, he hits the saleswoman and forces her to do his will. He has two other accomplices. He steals a case, and the woman runs away. How can robbers hope for a golden day? By stealing jewelry. What happens in this fancy jewelry store will leave you speechless. In a jewelry store without guards and a door left open, two men walk in and are attended to. When the third man walks in, he immediately points a gun at one of the attendants. One of them grabs a blonde lady and covers her mouth. They start to steal from drawers, taking their time to open the jewelry glasses, because by breaking them, there'd be an alarm. These men totally emptied the jewelry store, leaving them with nothing but empty drawers and boxes. What happens when a man who can't even operate a pair of pants decides to rob a store while handling a gun? Two men are seen walking into a convenience store. One of the men walks over to the counter and pulls out a gun to compel compliance. Soon after, the cashier hands over a pile of cash to him inside a bag. The two men leave the store with the money, but they just aren't satisfied. They see an unsuspecting man walking into the store, and for whatever reason, they are triggered by him and they shoot at him to the point where the doors of the store are shattered. Rare things happen, and one of those is a calm, polite robbery. But polite or not, robbery is robbery. A cashier is seen in a store with three robbers. Once she realizes what is going on, she immediately hides her phone and remains calm. The robbers do nothing to harm her, probably because she complied and did everything she was asked. Isn't this a little tricky? She didn't try to get help, how could she? Apparently, the robbers weren't after cash, but after the store's stock. The lady cashier followed their orders calmly. It wasn't worth losing her life and her phone. Who said criminals were smart? What happens when there's a pack of thieves in a store only to steal what's fake? A crowd of 20 people rob Sunnyvale Jewelry Store. It's quite an intense footage as they scurry around stealing valuable jewelry. They move around hurriedly, packing jewelry into their thieving bags. There are no communications, no side talks, just thieving business. They look like ants that just found a tiny piece of leftover cake. They leave nothing behind. But we were told jewelry on display is most times fake. What if all these were for nothing? The young shall grow. But grow into what exactly? What happens in this store reflects bad choices and a soiled heart. It's a normal day for this cashier until an armed robber comes to steal the cash. He orders him to get the rest of the cash because that wasn't all of it. The cashier goes to the other side where the rest of the money is. He takes it out and hands it over to the robber. The robber doesn't seem satisfied as he starts searching by himself.
Sit right there. Sit right there. Don't sit on the table. Sit down on the table.
The cashier says there's no more money, but the robber thinks he's lying. He orders him to turn around as he leaves. Imagine drinking enough alcohol before robbing a liquor store. Isn't it needed? This robbery is an insane one.
This first video, we see the suspect walk into the liquor store and make his way to the counter. He immediately displays the gun.
The suspect walks into the liquor store, makes his way to the counter, and immediately displays his loaded gun. He nervously gives the person behind the register directions. Next, another suspect walks to the counter, displays his gun, and asks the cashier to give him the cash. The cashier, instead of emptying the contents into the bag, gives the robber piles of cash. He leaves the store without making a scene. Ever seen footage of a robbery gone wrong? What happens when the person behind the counter is tougher than the robber? Watch this.
अस्सलाम वालेकुम फ्रेंड्स, क्या हाल चाल है? उम्मीद सब खैरियत से होंगे। तो आज हम आपके सामने लेके आए हैं न्यू डकैती, क्योंकि आजकल के जो मुल्क के हालात हैं, महंगाई का दौर है, हर बंदा चोरी।
In a store in Pakistan, a man walks in, initially looking like he wants to make a purchase. But soon enough, he brings out a gun, threatening the salespeople.
इन बाबा जी की हिम्मत चेक करें कि बाबा जी ने किस तरह होशियार।
They raise their hands in surrender. But when the gunman gives instructions, instead of the old salesman to comply, in unusual bravery, he picks up an object and throws it at the robber.
वहाँ से भगाया है, वो अपनी दुकान की रखवाली की है। सलूट एंड बाबा जी को, और आपसे भी गुजारिश है कि आपकी दुकान पर अगर कोई ऐसा काम होता है, आप घबराया मत करें और कोशिश।
The man continues throwing objects until the robber runs out of the store. What do you do in a game of hide and seek where you've searched everywhere but can't seem to find your friend? You pull a trick. This cop definitely pulled one. A cop walks into a store and tries to set up an employee for a crime. The officer said she left papers with the person behind the counter, but the woman wouldn't tell her what she was signing, so she refused. The employee is seen arguing with the people in the store with her. She didn't seem comfortable with whatever was going on there. People come in and go out, but the tension doesn't seem to be reduced. Robbery is not a drill, that's why there's smashing. In this video, we stare right in the face, the very ill of society. Two men walk into a store, looking intently at what is displayed in a glass box. A woman is seen behind the counter making a call. Everything looks normal here. She approaches them, monitoring what they're doing. They look like they're trying not to make a noise and attract attention, hence the carefulness. Eventually, they run out of patience, bring out a hammer, and smash the glass box, grabbing what they came for and scaring the woman away. Is robbery fast becoming the new order? The First Order, like in Star Wars? What happens in this footage almost agrees with that. Armed men walk into a store, scaring the attendants. The suspects are robbing a Best Buy store in Mount Laurel, New Jersey. The suspects can be seen brandishing firearms as they attempt to steal iPhones, causing customers and staff to flee in fear. Once they were done with what they came for, they fled the store immediately, leaving the customers and staff to reminisce on what had just happened. People would do anything just to get what they've set their minds to do, if only one of those things weren't crimes. In this footage, two suspects are seen banging on a door in a bid to break into it. They hit the door repeatedly to the extent that one of them starts to stomp on it with his feet. When they are finally able to enter, they immediately get to the drawer where cash is, and they take all that they find. One of them continues to smash things violently, like he wants the robbery to be obvious. They pack all the cash into a bag, but are unable to leave the store on the first try, so they leave the same way they came in. This is disturbing and terrifying footage that will leave your heart in your mouth if you dare try picturing yourself in such a situation. In this store, a gunshot is fired to the ceiling, and this sends both customers and cashiers running for their lives. The first cashier immediately runs in behind a door, and before he shuts it, he allows the other cashier to come in. The gunman tried everything to open that door, but it didn't budge. Another gunman is seen threatening a customer who gives up his wallet rather than his life. They tried to open the door with bullets and kicks, but none worked. Seconds later, they leave in frustration. Do you ever wonder what happens at night behind closed doors? Sometimes it's robbery. While men slept, others were robbed and all choices had consequences. Two suspects enter a convenience store. They approach the store clerk and order him to open the cash registers, while one of the suspects stands by with a shotgun resting on the counter. The second suspect jumps over the counter and takes money from both registers as well as the merchandise. Both of the suspects exited the store and fled north. Footage shows one of the suspects pointing a gun at an incoming vehicle and then running out of camera view. The level of destruction in this video will leave your jaws dropping and your blood boiling. Two men are seen walking on a street, and they make their stop at a jewelry store. One of them is carrying a pickaxe. They casually enter the store without their intentions written all over their faces. The one with the pickaxe moves to the counter and puts his pickaxe to use, breaking the glass that shelters the jewelry. The cashier seems unfazed, like he was either used to it or was expecting it. He takes all the jewelry and runs off with the other guy. Is robbery a get-rich-quick method? In the eyes of the victim, it's fast, but in the eyes of the criminals, it takes time. And sometimes, it's time behind bars. This footage shows a robbery going on in a convenience store. An armed man walks in, stealing all that he came for. Another man is seen behind him, doing the same job cautiously. In this store, there are no staff, and neither are there customers. All that we see are two men stealing in the store, undisturbed. It's interesting how the little things quickly escalate and turn into a huge situation. What you're about to watch will leave you wondering why humans are naturally wired the way they are. It was during the lockdown, and a man was seen walking into a store without a face mask. This action triggers another security at Target, and it leads to a scuffle breaking out. Other people walk over to check the occurrence at the scene while the fight ends. The security man is seen on the floor, obviously writhing in pain as he gets his arm broken. Two other security guards walk up to him to help him. In this disturbing footage, we witness a shooting in a mall. What makes it so disturbing? Let's find that out. It looks like a normal shopping day for the people in this mall as they are seen looking at products they're interested in purchasing. Soon enough, there's an altercation between two men, Tyrone Gray and Ontario Sylvester, in the middle of the mall. In anger, Sylvester pulls a bag from his shoulder and hits Gray with it.
Then you see here some kind of altercation between Tyrone Gray and Ontario Sylvester. Gray is in the red shirt, Sylvester in black.
In retaliation, Gray brings out a shotgun and starts shooting. A panic starts, and people run away to hide. Then Gray looks around, walks out of the store, and calls 911.
Sylvester pulls off a bag off of his shoulder and then hits Gray with it.
Robbery is often associated with the dark of the night, but what happens when it occurs in broad daylight?
Hey, keep it down. I want her to take out the cash and put it there now. Don't go to the fucking register, you can get shot. Take the money out.
This footage shows two men behind a counter, one with pure intentions, the other with a questionable one. Immediately after the pure guy leaves with his purchase, the other man threatens the staff to bring out all the cash, otherwise they'd get shot.
You want to get shot? Move! Open it up! Open it up!
The staff hesitates and the man starts yelling at them. Because they still didn't comply, he jumped over the counter, taking things into his own hands.
Get in the back! Go! All the way in the back! Alright, the rest is yours. Go on!
The men comply, he orders them to leave, he takes the money, and he immediately leaves the store. What does a cool demeanor imply? A cool attitude? Well, not in this case, as this cool-looking dude does the opposite of cool. This footage shows a man in a green hoodie walking into a store. 1 minute, he nods his head with a slight smile like he was greeting a person, and the next, he is seen hitting a staff repeatedly and aggressively with the butt of his gun. He soon begins to punch the man with his fists, drags him to the floor, and continues his evil act. Two other men who were his accomplices walked in at different times, and they stole the equipment. 3 is said to be a crowd, isn't it? So it's safe to say that 3 robbers are too many robbers. These 3 men walk into a store, but there's more to it. Three men walk into a cell phone store on Shepherd Avenue East. The men walk out while a woman is behind the door, seeing all their faces. One of the men approaches the victim at the front of the desk, grabs her arm, and points a gun at her head. The other two headed to the back room. Another man points a handgun at one of the other three victims in the room and gives him a black recyclable bag to be filled with merchandise. The men run off with a quantity of laptops and cell phones. The eyes have it, or do they? You won't believe what these sneaky suspects try to slip past security, and it's all caught on camera. We see a recurring pattern in this video. Everyone with a shopping cart at some point has their carts changing their first names, a locking cart. This is an effort to stop stealing as the lock mechanism gets deactivated by a laser light when they go through the checkout lane. Later on, something interesting happens. Some shoplifters with their carts loaded full of high-dollar items have their carts locked, and since they didn't pay for them, they leave the carts and walk off. That's some fishy move right there. The streets can be a dangerous place, especially when desperation meets opportunity. A businessman becomes the target of a ruthless robber, but little does the thief know, this victim has a secret weapon. A man is seen standing behind a door in a store, just peering into space. Soon enough, he sights an incoming danger and tries to withstand it. A businessman in a suit is being robbed. He tries to escape by entering the store, but the man behind the door prevents that from happening because the robber could follow him in. The robber drags the man off on the floor, but he eventually runs off and the man escapes into the store. Sparkling diamonds, glittering gold, and a heist that will leave you breathless. But will they get away with the loot, or will justice shine brighter than any gemstone? Three armed men are seen looting a jewelry store in broad daylight. They were also masked. In this footage, a nervous staff member is seen, and the armed men rush at him. He tries to resist them, but all three of them overpower him. Because of the contrast in numbers, they are able to get away with their jewelry heist. These thieves probably took the word break-in too seriously. Caring less about the noise, they break into a store, but what did they come for? A truck is seen outside, reversing straight to the store, and two suspects are outside, directing the driver. The truck drives into the store, breaks the door, and moves an entire shelf. The truck stops inside the store, and they steal some firearms, but they speedily drive off upon seeing two cars stopping right in front of the store. Moments later, a police car drives into the store and searches the store, but finds nothing. Watch as an intense confrontation takes an unexpected turn when a would-be shooter meets an unexpected obstacle, a scooter, on the road. A car stops in front of a store, and out of it comes a masked man with a gun who looks like he has an agenda. In a rush, a man wearing a white shirt is pursued by the gunman. He runs into the store near him, but the gunman opens the door and opens fire. As he stepped out, he tripped and fell over a scooter. The man in white comes out of the store and runs off. The gunman was clearly nervous because he was startled when he saw the other man. What is the world fast becoming? A place where we have no empathy for ourselves, for those we're responsible for? This pregnant shoplifter should answer the question, or not. Surveillance video shows a pregnant woman, identified as Takia Young, stealing several bottles of liquor and putting them into a bag she is carrying. Obviously, she didn't intend to carry just a baby. She is seen ignoring all cameras and just packing lots of bottles nonchalantly, like someone who had done it before. Two other unidentified women put bottles of liquor in their bags. They all left the store, setting off theft alarms on their way out. Jewelry might be expensive, but what about the cost of human life? What about the cost of life wasted either by death or by prison bars? A cashier is seen talking to a customer wearing blue when another man walks in. The man takes out his gun, and the customer and cashier see it, but they remain calm. The customer leaves the counter and is replaced by an armed man. The armed man is talking with the cashier when, in an unexpected twist, the customer in blue jumps over the counter and starts stealing. They were partners all along. When you see a man and a woman together on the streets, what are your first thoughts? Definitely not that they are suspects of the killing of a store clerk. This footage shows the two suspects wanted in the shooting death of a convenience store clerk. They walk into a store like they're on the lookout for something. The lady has an earpiece plugged in while the guy is shirtless. Just the way they came in, they went back out. It's quite strange, isn't it? Any form of theft is wrong on so many levels, armed or not. This footage will give you so many reasons to believe that over and over again. Two women are seen in a store when three armed men come in to rob. One of the men approaches the ladies and orders them to put what they have inside a bag that he has. One of the men moves into another room with a gun where he shoots the clerk. And straight down to this footage, it's a heart-stopping video of a crime in a store. The saleswoman would probably wish she hadn't come to work.
All right, you have a nice day. Put money in the bag. What? Put money in the bag. Are you serious?
After attending to one customer and he leaves, a man walks up to her, ordering her to put the money in the bag. The woman behind the counter doesn't seem to believe that she has just been ordered to put herself in trouble. She asks him, "Are you serious?"
Yeah. Here, get out, right. Here, take it.
That question triggers the armed robber, and he fires a shot in the air. The woman immediately puts money in his bag and asks him to get out.